Americans are giving up on managing their credit card debt, and it's becoming increasingly dire. For months, we've discussed the state of consumer debt in the United States on this channel. We've reported on the soaring credit card balances, record high delinquencies, and the unprecedented drop in Americans' credit scores. Despite this, the mainstream media continues to put a positive spin on the situation, claiming the economy is strong and these trends aren't severe enough to indicate financial distress. However, the data reveals a harsher reality. We don't need to sugarcoat this story or create a comforting narrative about the mounting debt. The current credit card crisis is significantly harming Americans. Recently, the Federal Reserve released data indicating that the growth of credit card debt slowed in the first quarter. On the surface, this might seem like good news and will likely be celebrated in corporate media circles. Yet, the truth is, despite the slowed growth, Americans still accumulated over $6 billion in new consumer debt in Q1 alone. Moreover, the latest Consumer Price Index (CPI) numbers show that prices continue to rise, pushing Americans further into debt as the cost of living increases. It's no surprise that credit card debt growth is slowing down, especially with average APRs for commercial credit cards reaching a record high of over 21%. This high interest rate is likely why many Americans are reaching their breaking point, unable to manage their debt any longer. We're facing a perfect storm: high interest rates, inflation, and the resumption of student loan payments, all converging to make continued spending unsustainable. Unlike the federal government, which can print money and currently sits $34 trillion in debt, individual Americans don't have that luxury. According to a recent survey by Debt.com, in 3 Americans have maxed out their credit cards due to inflation. Banks are reporting rising charge-offs and delinquencies each quarter, and credit card debt remains at record levels. Let's not pretend everything is suddenly fine. When you see reports claiming consumer spending will normalize, it's worth asking how that will happen amidst such financial turmoil. A look at this chart from Zero Hedge illustrates the issue starkly. American savings balances are plummeting, while credit card debt continues to climb, with the savings rate dropping from over 5% to 3.2%, the lowest since 2022. This growing gap is alarming, and as credit cards max out, people will be left with few options. In a recent video, I delved into the possibility that this financial strain is part of a larger plan to drive the US dollar into the ground, paving the way for a central bank digital currency, CBDC. While it may sound conspiratorial, understanding the goal of creating a financial crisis to undermine US Treasury-backed currency sheds light on this disturbing trajectory. We also know that inflation and recessions are incredibly challenging for people with lower credit scores. Rising interest rates make it especially difficult to pay down credit card debt, particularly for those who are just trying to make ends meet. A new survey from Ipsos reveals that 35 to 54-year-olds rely on their credit cards for emergency expenses at twice the rate of those over 55. This is perhaps unsurprising, given that less than half of younger Americans reported having enough money saved for unexpected expenses, compared to 70% of those over 55. During the pandemic, we saw many older Americans who had liquid cash and backup plans buying homes that millennials were also trying to purchase. Millennials, lacking the extra cash, found themselves outbid and now rely more heavily on their credit cards than ever. The Ipsos Consumer Tracker highlights these generational gaps in spending and saving habits, pointing to an important factor we must consider: financial literacy. The sooner we acknowledge how dire the situation is, the more likely people can develop the financial education needed to escape credit card debt. Credit card APRs are at an all-time high, yet many consumers don't even know what their APR is. Charging over 20% interest is criminal. The entire credit landscape is a minefield designed to trap people with high interest rates and low minimum payments. This system disproportionately harms young people, low-income demographics, and anyone lacking the financial knowledge to navigate it. For more on the consumer debt crisis, watch our next video, where I outline specific steps you can take if you're stuck in this credit card cycle. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.